Hello, and welcome for joining in, and welcome to Heart with Eva. And today's guest is myself. I think it's only fair that I go live and talk a bit about myself. And this is also being shown on my page, Heart to Heart page live. And I'm trying to log into YouTube too, but I can't see that it's going live there. So sorry for the inconvenience, but we are starting now because the time is right for that. So welcome. And as I'm starting to talk here, I would like to start with telling you I'm a storyteller. And when I speak, about anything or something in general, I like to start by sharing a tiny bits of fragments here and there and like weaving and woven them together. So at the end, the story leads up to a greater picture. And I guess that's my Pleiadian aspect that pops in and takes over because I really do enjoy doing that. So this is going to be some kind of a storytelling session today. And I also love to speak in metaphors, and I love these words of wisdom. And they are not defining me, who I am, but using metaphors or these words of wisdom speech, they actually can help you to explain how you think in just that particular moment. So yesterday when I was thinking about what I'm going to present and how I'm going to do that, I started to write. I wrote some words and I started to fill out with long sentences beneath those words. And it all ended up with 8 pages of information. And I'm still just in my youth, so to speak. So it did turn out to be more like a beginning for a biography in my upcoming book, obviously. So I am just putting them aside because I can't use that. I had to redefine what I want with this page, Heart to Heart, and what I want it to be. So what came to me last night is, please do sort out in your own mind, what is Heart to Heart? What is your purpose with the Heart to Heart? And my own purpose for Heart to Heart is a network. It's the page that I want people to come out on and share by themselves who they are, what they are doing. And of course, I would like to ask questions about what the sharings is about. And I don't want to have a script, like a whole episode or a book to read from. I want it to be in a heart to heart based conversation. And to do that is not more than fair that I go live and do the same things, talking from heart to heart. And that is a bit scary because you want to give something back when you're talking. You don't want to, like, it's going to be stopped and you don't know what you're about to say or if you have anything to say. That's the beauty of life, because life isn't flawless. You are always in a moment when you don't know what to say, and you just have to trust what is coming to you. So therefore, I still have some words that I'm going to use because I need to know where I'm going with my story. But I'm just going to fill out with my own guidance that I receive through this heart to heart with myself. So the purpose of this page is to do networking, to invite people that are working with ascension and people that are working with things and tools that brings you forth with your own ascension process and actually have something to work with on the new earth. There's a lot of people doing this. There are all around the world, there are podcasts and there are people interviewing other people, vlogs, and they are also very, very good at what they are doing. So why me? Why am I here? Well, it could be refreshing to have someone who doesn't know what she's doing, but I sort of do have a clue about what I'm supposed to do. But this is a page for the common people. And even if there's a lot of great people out there, we are not reaching the same level of people. We are not in the same communities. And this is going to be an platform where I'm doing my thing and follow my own vision. Because I have a vision and I also have a lot of dreams. And the difference between the dreams and the visions for me is that the dreams that I have, they usually go out there and I have no clue about what I dreamt yesterday. But the visions are those that occurs frequently and they come back and I can see the same thing within them. So they have the same concept and they are actually um, bringing some context into my own thinking about what I want to do. So this is the time we are moving into a new earth, a new consciousness, and this is a time to follow your own visions, to be in your own light, to hold the space and ground around you, step into your own power and follow your own dreams and visions. So this is one of my visions that I'm going to bring to life and be doing in this now, as long as I feel a purpose for it and as long as I feel it is enjoyable to do. And to be here today, I just had to let you know this, a bit scary. When I throw away the papers, I actually got some panic and I was thinking like, what am I going to say? What if I don't have anything to say? And I felt a hand on my shoulder saying, just focus on me. Just go inside and focus and everything will fall in place. So I said, thank you to the Ascended Master that joined me yesterday. I will go inside and I will continue. And now I'm going to move forward. And I'm going to step in a bit to my background. And when I grew up in the 60s, I grew up with a lot of stories about UFOs. And my dad was a pilot, so he had a lot of those stories to tell. So there was nothing spacey about UFOs. They were a natural part of our conversation. And it triggered me so, so much because they gave me the opportunity to let my mind be vivid and go outside the ordinary thinking, line of thinking about what life is all about. When you are a child, you actually have those thinking and thoughts in your head. And it was not that I didn't have friends. It was just that I had sometimes a difficulty to understand how they were thinking and why they couldn't see the same things that I could see, why they didn't want to talk about lives in the universe or ghosts or spirits or those kind of things. But I did grow up, and as all other kids, I have imaginary friends. And the one that I had the most exchange of information with was a wizard. And it was a wizard from Himalaya. And I thought it was quite funny because he was such a magician in my mind. And he was teaching me about gurus and yogis. He taught me about how to meditate. He showed me that things could be teleporting. You can move things with your mind. I haven't been able to do that yet, but I'm still working on it. I just want him to know that. And he also introduced me to the concept of power animals, to work with the unseen and the energies for protection and comfort. And I also remember during this time, I watched a movie on TV. And what was so special about this movie is that it was about a woman. She looked like an outcast, what do you call it, outcast outside of society. And people came to her because they needed help, and she was a healer. but they at the same time didn't want to have anything to do with her. So when I watched this, I felt such a coherence with her. I can still see some of the sequence from that movie in my head. And I knew then that I wanted to be a healer. And I might not have known exactly how to proceed with that, but I did know it in my heart that that's the thing that I want to do. I want to be a healer. I want to be like her. And during that time, I also got blessed with an ear infection. And now you're raising your eyebrow thinking, blessed? Yes, it was a blessing because it hurt. It hurted like nothing that I had experienced in this life at that moment. So I cried my lungs out and I was sitting in my mom's lap, and the pain didn't go away. So I remember this woman on TV. So I took my finger, I put it in my ear, and I started to visualize how the healing just came and took the pain away. And it actually did. The pain stopped and disappeared, and I didn't have any problem with my ear after that. And when I realized that it actually worked, I knew from right then and there that this is my life mission. I am a healer and I want to continue to do good with that, and be able to work with that in some way. But of course, I may not have done healing with my friends when I was outside playing, but I used it on myself and it felt really, really good. So I grew up, I got older, and as a teenager, I still had a very vivid imagination, and I could see a lot of things that my friends couldn't see, and I really didn't have anyone to talk to. I had this control board, as I call them. This was like a um, office on a spaceship that I started to connect with, so I could discuss things. And because I saw a lot of scary things for a teenager, I could see people who were shifting into another being, and I didn't know if they were good or if they were bad, if they were their personality or if there was an incarnation before, or if that is who they were, but they was like shape shifting into something and presenting themselves in this world as another thing. So I tried to elaborate the thoughts with them, and it went pretty well, of course. Uh, I did have some exchange of energy there, but I also wanted to interact with my friends at that age. So I invited them to do a lot of experiencing with mind reading. You know, they were sitting there holding a card with a picture on, and I was sitting on the other side of the table and trying to figure out what it was that they were looking at. And I had a blast at that age. I don't think they had the same amount of fun that I had, but I surely enjoyed that period. That was beautiful. I also at that time did some horseback riding, and to be moving from my place where I live, because I was a teenager, so I lived with my mom, I have to walk past a church and a graveyard, or cemetery. Yeah, well, graveyard. And when it's bright outside, it's not so scary to move past those things. But when it gets a bit dark and you're walking there alone, I felt that it was kind of scary to walk there. You see, I've never been afraid of humans, but I have been afraid of the darkness, the demons, and every scary thing lurching in the dark at the graveyards. So when I passed through there, I called up on my protection animals from the other side, my power animals, and I had this huge dogs walking with me. All the reminded me almost like wolves, and they were walking in front of me. They were walking the side and behind, and they were protecting me from all evil. They were trying to tap into my energy. And in my late 20, early 30s, something, I actually came in contact with a spiritual community. And there was where I met my mentor. I would like to call her mentor. Her name was Elsie Garvey. She has passed away now, so I said, bless her soul. But she took me in, and she offered her knowledge to me. She was a Qigong teacher, an alternative therapist. She was a healer, and there was nothing in the alternative world that she didn't or hasn't been doing. So everything that she did, she offered me to be a part of. So she really helped me to use my curiosity, my knowledge, and relearn and learn something new and know how to evolve and express all these things. She also introduced me, because this was like a new era to me, she also introduced me to the spiritism and the mediums that worked in the community. And my first contact was with an English spiritual medium, and had never met someone who talked to dead people before. So I had my own vision, like this have to be dark and a crystal ball, and there were dead people flying all around, and there was nothing like that, of course. It was all in the middle of the day. It was bright, and she was very loving and looked very, very grandma-like figure. So there was a lot of loving energy there when I entered the room. And I can't remember so much what she said about things around, because there are not a lot of people who has passed on that for some reason they are not coming back to talk to me. They can come and talk to my family members, but they usually do not come with a message for me. But she looked at me, and I can still see her. She went like, oh, you have two huge dogs with you from spirit world. And I was thinking, like, I don't have two huge dogs that had passed over. And then it fell into my mind, this was the dog, my power animals that protects me whenever I feel it's uncomfortable energies around me, or when I'm feeling a bit scared when I was a kid. So they were there with me, because I was a bit, even if I wasn't scared, I was a bit, well, I'm gonna use the word scared, obviously. So they were there to protect me, to give me power, to give me the strength to face this thing that I had never done before. And that was also the first confirmation that I got from a physical being, that I actually wasn't imagine everything that I see, that I made this up for some reason. And so this was a huge blessing for me to know that other people actually can see the same things that I could see. So in this spiritual community, after that, I started to practice Qigong and healing. And Elsie was introducing me to a lot of different ways to do healing. And she introduced me to other people that had their own sort of practice. And I studied them and observed how they work, so that I could get ideas of how I wanted to work with it. And in this community, there was also an opportunity for me to step in and have my own groups of healing and meditation. So once and twice a month, I held a meditation group and I held a healing group. And that was such a joyful times because I learned so much and I love this interaction with people. I love to be in these communities where you can share information because for me, it's all about sharing. And even if I was holding these groups and kind of being responsible for them to work, is still an exchange of energy. And people were asked to bring in their energies and their healing arts into these groups so that we could learn from each other. And people did. And it was very, very healthy lesson to learn that you can actually co-create even if you are not doing the same thing as another people are doing, like we have different ways to do things and my way isn't more accurate than your thing are. So it is a co-working together that we have. And in the 90s, I was introduced to Reiki. And I went through all the steps and I went to the point that I actually became a Reiki teacher myself. And at that time, there was like this alternative medicine and the holistic workshop. They needed to be certified in some way. People wanted to receive a note or something to show other people that you actually had gone through some kind of education. And I can see the worth in that because there are a lot of schools and workshops and things are escalating. People are learning so much faster now than we did in the early ages. But still, there's a lot of people doing a lot of things that are good and they don't have any certification for what they are doing, but they are so good at what they are doing anyway. But I did take this Reiki teacher and we did have some classes and that was also very, very fun. And I like this interaction, as I said before. I like to be close to people. I like to watch the reactions. I like to observe. And I like to be in this environment where you can feel the energies that are floating to and from people, the exchange of energies. So I also learned a lot of other stuff during this time. I received some new friends, and I had some old friends that got reacquainted with. So we went in and started to, what do you call it, evolving my knowledge, because I started to learn a lot about, not only about spiritism, but magic, banishing, and a lot of things in the occult world. And when you are in there and you start to learn, and you really need to be observant of what is happening, because knowledge is good, but you also have to know when you are supposed to draw a line about how far you want to take something, or when you should rely on the information that you have, that this is enough for me, and draw your boundaries there. So my conclusion from this experience was that the only thing that actually separates the dark magic from the white magic is the intention behind why you are doing something and the purpose of using magic and its power. So it's always the attention, both attention and intention, and the purpose of why. And that applies to everything in this life. It's the law of cause and effect. And everything you do has a consequence and it gets an effect. And you need to know when you're working with energy that whatever you do is going to be a ripple effect. And you are responsible for the amount of intention and that action that you actually are starting with whatever you are working with. So with that said and done, I also got in contact with a lot of new people, as I said, and those people wasn't always working for my better good or for someone else better good. There was a lot of control dramas, and what was both in the spirit community, but it was also a spiritual community, not the spirits. They were doing the good work, but in the spiritual community and also in my private life. I met a lot of people that had thoughts on how I should be and how I should react and act and what I was supposed to do. And especially in the spiritual community, because when you are in there, you meet people that had a lot of information to bring out to everybody else. You start to listen, and you can all very easily slide into this like guru thing that you are trusting them with all of your heart. And even if it doesn't resonate with you, you accept it and they are telling you that your thinking is wrong. You should think like this, or you should do like that. Because if you don't do that, you're not part of this group or community or anything. And that's the way to slowly take power over someone else. Because we are all entitled to have our own thought, feelings, and expressing them. And I don't have to be right all the times, and I can change my mind, but I won't give up my beliefs just because someone else tells me to do so. So the good side of control drama, because now I'm thinking about education, because if I enter to educate myself, and I can use Reiki as a example, I getting into a group and I'm meeting a teacher, and I am there to learn how this art of Reiki is working. And of course, the teacher that is teaching is going to learn you the same information that she or he has learned and learn the original teachings of what they are advertising about. So if you are walking outside the teachings, of course, the teacher is going to tell you that it's not okay because it's not respectful to the teacher to actually move outside the teaching rules and do your own thing while you are there, because you are the one searching for a teacher and you are there because you want to learn about Reiki. So when you search for information and you go there, please be respectful to the teacher. And if the teacher is learning something to you, you are to practice what you are learning when you are in that art learning. And when you are done and you have stepped out from this teaching, you can do whatever you want to do with that information. If you want to change it, if you want to evolve it or work with it in another way, that's totally up to you. But if you are going to refer to your teacher, please be respectful and know that that is not a control drama, that's teaching. What is a control drama is if the teacher is telling you that you are not supposed to do anything ever outside the group or when you have finished your education. That is a control drama. So the good side is to stay in an education and be respectful. And the downside is that some people always feel the need to dominate. And I think it's about getting control, and it's a power thing. It makes me able to stay in a position when I have a little bit more knowledge than you do. And that is not obviously the case, especially today. So please trust yourself. And if it doesn't resonate with you, then it's totally fine. You will go with whatever resonates with you. And if it does resonate with you, then you have to receive it because there's something there for you to use, and you may use it almost as you wish. And the bad thing is that people tend to do things, bad things in this control drama. People you tend to do things that they are not supposed to do. And I told you earlier that I met some people using this control drama in groups. And one of the friendship groups that I was in, we had a lot of fun too. Oh yes, we did. Mostly fun, doing a lot of good conversations. As I said, we had a lot of good conversations, but there was a control drama, and it in the end of my anticipating in that group, we were supposed to do a ritual, and this rituals was like initiations, but this was a ritual. And we were going to do this ritual because we were supposed to cut in cords with a woman that had fallen out of grace within the spiritual community. I don't know why I say spirit community, but you know what I mean. And there's a thing, I don't have authority issues, but I do have authority issues. I have no problem when people are telling me to do something, ask me to do something, or they can even point with a hand and say, you're supposed to do it this way. It depends on what it is. But when people are starting to tell me what to do, and I feel within my heart and in my whole core that this is not that something that I am aligned with, I just can't do it. It has to resonate with my values and what I believe in. So when people are starting to tell me, if you are not doing what I'm telling you to do, or you're wrong if you're not doing this, I usually out. I sense that there's a boundary there for me to actually protect. I can respect the way you think in many ways, but I do have boundaries and I do keep them. So when it was my turn to do this ritual, I was not in the mood to do them because it didn't felt right. So I changed the well-prepared words and I switched my intention of cutting my cords with this person, this woman. And instead, I invited my higher self and my guides, of course, my dogs, to protect me and hold on the space for me while I'm doing this. And I wanted to cut cords with whomever misused my energies for their own profits and just for misusing me, because I can't be a part of that. And you know what? It actually worked out very well. People, close friends, they did slide out of my life. And people that I thought would go, they actually left. People that I thought were my friends on a very close base, they also went. So I was wondering if I was about to be friendless or something, but no. I had very close relationships still with some of my friends, but there were a lot of people in my friendship, in my close friendship community, and within groups and somewhere else that actually did leave my friend circle. And that is totally okay, because that was my purpose. I don't want to be anybody's friend, because I don't, if you are going to misuse me or my energy. If you just want to be friends with me for profiting for me, or use my energies to hurt someone else or misuse them in the very sense of misusing, then there's no need for us to be friends. You can do your own things, and there are people that are volunteering to do that kind of things, but I'm not one of those. So values to me is very, very important, and boundaries are very important. You need to protect yourself, and you should be using your energies for doing good, for your own good and for everybody else's good. And there should always be this intention of a higher good and the best outcomes for all involved people, because otherwise there will be effect. The law of causes and effect, and it may come back to you. And the most of us know about this infinite symbol. What you give out, it will come back to you. So if you are misusing some energies, they will find a way back to you. If you are doing good deeds and good, using good energies, they will come back to you. So that's a loving way to do it. And be in your heart and use the cause and effect, law of the cause and effect. And that's the way of a loving God. And you have to realize when you work with energies that you can not control the outcome. You can have a purpose and an intention, because of course you have a desire and you can wish for things, but you shouldn't be planning the details for how it should turn out, because when you do, there could be some misusing of someone else's energy, and we don't want to do that, right? But you should never hold grudge either, because people are in their positions and places in life because there's lessons to learn, and life is a learning process, and it goes in cycles. And when you have learned your lessons and you have fulfilled your mission in that lesson, that cycle will end, and there's something new that will enter. And that goes for everything. So even if you are doing healing, you can place a thought of what you're about to heal. And it's almost like driving a car. You use a car to get from point A to point B, and you see a straight road ahead, and you think maybe that is the only thing that you are going to use, that road. But when you start driving, you can see there's a roadblock and you have to go into another way. And that's the same with healing. You might think that you are sending healing to a special place in the body, or to a special place, or anything. And sometimes it actually works like that, and other times it takes a detour around, and it's totally good. So just go with the flow and use those energy in a loving way, and you will see how things is about to change even in your life. So that brings me into the violet flame, because I also use the violet flame for my own protection, and I have been doing that for a long time, since I got in this spiritual community. And I also use this violet flame not only to cleanse myself or transmute those energies, I also use it for cleansing things that occurred in my life, you know. And I still work with the violet flame. And nowadays I'll use it for transmute lower energies for the better good. But I can still use it to clear a place. If I feel the energy is dropping in my home, I'm working with the violet flame in my place for transmuting those lower energies. And I've been talking some about boundaries, and I live my life by holding my space. And I might not always tell everybody else about what I see, but I observe. I observe people in my closeness, in my work. I observe people online. And when people are asking me questions, I will probably speak my truth. And sometimes people don't like to hear the truth. It's not that I'm walking up to you and might say that I have observed this. No, I notice what you do and observe, but it's not my place to actually tell you about it. But if you ask me, I will probably tell you what my observation and how I see it. And speaking your truth is something that everybody is asked to be doing at this time. We need to speak our truth because a lot of us are holding back, and there is so much knowledge to be shared. And we are also about to burst the limitation of the old earth and step into the new earth. And that's the way of moving in consciousness. And to have a more equal world, you need to start to express how you feel and speak your truth, not holding it back. So that brings us back to the resonance. If it doesn't resonate with you, then you could either withdraw yourself and leave, or you can actually speak up. You don't have to be aggressive and you don't have to be threatening, but you should be speaking up your truth. And even if I don't agree, or if someone else doesn't agree, that's totally fine. Because if you're just stepping out of that comfort zone of being you and see it a bit about and notice that we are so many people on this earth, and we are talking so many different languages, and we have so many different cultures. So we are saying the same things many times, but we are not using the same words, and we don't express ourselves in the same ways, which means that we are not always interpret what anybody else or everybody else is saying in that same way as they do. That doesn't mean that they don't have a right thing to say, or what they are saying is right and you're wrong. It just means they are expressing it in a different way. So please open your heart and try to listen with your heart. What is people saying around you? Because you don't need to start to have an discussion or aggressive discussion in everything. Just listen and see if there is a resonance between you, because maybe you are actually talking about the same thing, but you are using different words. And it's totally fine if that is the case. And it's totally fine if that is not the case too. So you need to set boundaries for yourself, and you have to stay centered within. And when I say stay centered, is use your I am presence, your higher self, because that's a center of light, your light that is going through yourself from your soul star, soul chakra into your earth chakra. And you need to hold that light and go within and listen for answers within, because you are today the one responsible for your own life, not everybody else's life, your own life at first. You can still be to service for others, like this page that I am sending from right now is one of these purpose is to be to service to other people and to offer a service of information and have a place to talk about things and help each other in this world. But even if you are in service, doesn't mean that you are supposed to dictate what everybody else is supposed to do. So hold your preference by yourself at first. So go inside and listen to yourself. And now we are moving forward. We are entering into 2017. And that was the year when I moved from the big city out in the countryside to the countryside. And I got closer to nature. And when I arrived here, um, so close to nature, it was right outside my bedroom window, and I can see it from the backyard. The forest actually started there. The spirit world came to life again, and I felt this huge urge to search for my inner goddess, my feminine side, my feminine divine. And that energy just kept going and going and going and growing inside me. And I got in touch with a lot of new people, and mostly were online in different spiritual communities, on mainly on Facebook actually. And the more people I met, the more I went inside and tried to wake up my inner goddess. And as I started to work with myself in search for this feminine goddess, I also noticed how my family structure started to fall apart. And last year, the 2020, was the year that was the earthly goddess rise to the occasion year, because something happened in this spiritual community. It just exploded. And everybody was talking about ascension. And there were ascending groups, there were priestess group. And I actually got totally stressed out by all the information because I thought I can't keep up with this. There was so much going on in this spiritual community, and everybody sounded like they were giving the right information. And that was almost too much for me to handle because I didn't know how to process all that information. And then this woman came across my path, and that was Dawn Del Vecchio. And she did a Return of the Priestess thing on Facebook that she invited a lot of goddesses, I mean talented women and women that came on and presenting themselves and their mission. And they gave a insight of their ascension work at the time, sharing the knowledge and how to reawake that inner power, the divine feminine inner power. And she's a very, very grounded person, a very beautiful person. And I don't know her at all. I am in her group, but she holds a meditation every Saturday that I'm still trying to join in when I can, because she holds those very, very beautiful motherly energy and is a anchor of light. And she's actually doing Return of Priestess 2, and it starts now on Sunday. So you can still search for her on Facebook if you want to join in. And she's doing this for free. And during this Return of the Priestess, I was still in a lot of other groups, and I was learning a lot from there too. But as the time has went by, I have actually found myself by doing this inner works. And since I choose to follow Dawn Del Vecchio, I have used some of her guidance that she has presented within her group, in her priestess group. And some of these tools, and that's the beauty by co-create and networking with people and joining into their own circles that they have, because you have so much knowledge, and some of the things that are said within these groups I already know, but it feels good to get a way to express it, tools to actually express or to be able to proceed with that information that you still have, but you may not have the knowledge of how to proceed with it. So feel free to join in any group and use those tools that are there for you to use actually. And while I was finding myself during this year, I also noticed that my family structure actually got restored again. So we were all growing. Everybody had to do the inner work. So it was not just me working with myself, because as we talked earlier about the cause and effect, when I'm working on something within my family structure, there are ripples effect that affects the people around me, and they also have a choice. Do they want to work with themselves, or do they want to withdraw themselves? So I was pretty lucky actually, because my family, they wanted to work with me, so they did their own inner work, and now everything is back to normal again, and that's blissful for me. So I'm still working with energies, and I do love and respect the power of the violet flame. I also love the ascended masters and the archangels, and I usually turn to them for guidance and wisdom when I want to do the right thing in a situation, or I have different choices and I don't know where to go. Um, and also when I work with healing, of course. And healing is still something that I do practice, even if I'm not doing as much as Reiki teaching that I were doing in a time before. But I have met new people, and I have gotten contact by Alexandra Tabasinska and her quantum healing and her channeling group. She has a group every Monday called Cry and Master Channeling. So I'm learning how to evolve with my inner guidance that is so much easier to use when I'm writing than it is to express in a verbal form. So quantum healing is also something that I find so much more interesting for myself to work with now. And that is something that I want to continue to evolve. And I want to use it both in private sessions, but also with the meditations, to do a quantum healing meditation where we are guiding, you are active in your participation. There's not like you are just there and receiving, but of course you are receiving. I am receiving this. There is this exchange of energy. So, but you are in those sacred space. We are in the sacred space together, and we are moving together, and you are there participating with your own free will. And I haven't been practicing this for a very, very long time, but I have noticed that people get really, really good feelings afterwards. They get in touch with their subconscious, and they feel pretty relieved, like something has left them, like a heavy energy is leaving and a new brighter energy is entering, or the room or space is there for a new energy to enter. So that is pretty amazing. I actually love quantum healing. And if you want to join in, you can do that, because 6 o'clock Central European time today, we are going to do a quantum healing session and a channeling session together, Alexandra and me. So feel free to join in. So why am I doing all this now? Well, a lot of things is aligned in time, of course. I have my mission that I am here to fulfill. And these communities that I have been working in, they don't exist today because we are in a very strange time. There's a pandemic going on. So we are connecting through Zoom, Facebook, Teams, and you name it. We are connecting online today. And to be connecting with people online means that you are actually connecting with people all over the world. And that is also a very blessing because you are expanding the energy field and you are receiving so much new knowledge and new beautiful friendships, relationships that you are lucky to have these days. So it's also a task to stepping out of your own comfort zone, because when you are interacting with people from other countries, you actually have to start talking a different language. And that can be some uncomfortable thing to be doing, but trust me, it feels better for every time. And it's a learning process even there. So it's a growing thing in this new age and new era. So I'm getting back to what my visions are in this now. I'm holding on to my vision of being here and living more and more the life that I want to live, a life filled with magic. And that includes more meditations and healings within groups, online for now being. And I hope that we will be able, pretty soon, nearby time, to actually meet in real life. But from now on, it's online. And using heart to heart is a possibility for me to meet new people, to let you who are joining in this community to meet people and to have a conversation with those people about their work in this new era and on this new earth. And the people who are attending at the moment are priestesses, there are healers, and there are channelers. And there's also going to be an astrologist entering in June. And they are here to presenting themselves and talking about their very, very important job they are doing here to help the humanity to evolve into higher consciousness. And this page is a non-profit page. So these conversations that we have, this vlog, is totally made out of a heart-to-heart conversation. We get to know you, and we can have this exchange of energies where people are presenting the work and we get knowledge of what they are presenting, etc. So these conversations are not to be in any cost to you to listen to. And they are on Facebook and they are on YouTube. And I hope you're enjoying this, because I want this to be a platform for everybody. And with that meant, it's like I am on today, and most of people haven't heard of me online before. So I'm still here presenting myself. So if I can do that, so can you. So if you're feeling inspired and want to join me in a heart-to-heart conversation here about your work, so please get in touch with me. Um, I will follow my heart where the attention goes, and where the attention goes, the energy will flow. And the same goes for you. So heart to heart in this now. Well, as I told you in the very, very beginning of this conversation, there are sisters and brothers around the world doing more or less the same things. And I will continue to do this as long as I see a purpose and a value to what I am doing. And I also do a lot of channeling. I will also explore and develop my, oh, sorry, I'm just going to turn that off. So I am exploring and developing more of my channeling skills, because when I talk, and I like to talk, and I like to hold teaching classes, etc., I love for them to be something that everybody can enjoy. And I want to evolve as a human being, and I want to be able to do this channeling in lives. So that's why I am in this classroom with Alexandra and Cryon, because I am channeling Cryon and the entourage. And the Ascended Master is the entourage. And that includes Yeshua, Mary Magdalene, and Mother Mary, and Archangel. And I have been channeling Archangel Michael actually once, but only once. And I love these energies, and I love to be in this secure comfort zone, and to be able to bring forth the communication in reality, in real time, if they have something to say. I'm not always doing this. There are so many people doing channeling. There are so much more well-trained and better at this than I am, but it's still a learning process for me. So I also receive a very familiar messages from the source. And I use the name source because I can't identify the name of the energy at the moment, but it always comes when I am in this energy of Cryon and the entourage. So there are an energy there that I'm tapping into, or tapping into me, because there's an exchange of energy in there. So I'm not all certain of what I should be able to call it. And maybe the name isn't the main thing to be focused on. It's the message, and that the energy comes from a source that I am relying on and feels worthy to express. So we're moving on to the next one, and that is standing in your own power. And we have mentioned that a few times during this talk. It is important for you to stand in your own power, to hold in your space and speak your truth. And I would like to suggest to you to use my I am presence, to tap into your own source energy and listen more to what your higher self is saying, and trust your inner guidance for whatever is right for you. Drop the importance of gurus. You are your own gurus. Turn to others if you would like to give them the respect and receive tools for your inner work, and take whatever resonates with you, and leave that doesn't resonate with you. And yeah, that's pretty much. And appreciate your inner work, and show some gratitude to yourself, and respect each other, respect yourself, and respect others, because we are all on our own path. And if you're holding that tube of light within your own space, you are becoming the beacon of light for others, so to speak, on their pathways. So when you follow your dreams, and maybe you are not following your dreams, maybe you're in a place where you feel you are losing a lot of energy, that doesn't mean that you can quit your job. It doesn't mean that you have to lose friends, but it means that you should pay attention to whatever it is that doesn't work for you anymore. So I am still holding on to my job, and I have I'm just going to turn a conversation off here. So thank you. Sorry for that. I still working, as I said. I have my 9 to 5 work, and I'm full of my dreams and my spare times. And since I'm sitting here in this house at the moment, I cannot just quit my job because I still live in this world. The rent is about to be paid, so I need to stay with my job. And that's a choice I'm making. And if I choose by my own free will to stay within my work, I will also do the very, very best when I'm there, and I will follow my dreams in my own spare time. So you don't have to quit your job, and you don't have to remove yourself or your friends. But maybe there are friends in your community that you actually are not feeling you are getting something back to, then maybe you should lose your grip and your attachment to them, because there should be an exchange of energy that flows back and forward. So drop into your heart and go inwards for answers and follow your dreams, because we're moving into a equal world, and we're all together, and none is above, and no one is more than anyone else. And that's the beauty of moving into a higher consciousness, that you're actually realizing that even the spirit community, there are an equalness, and no one is more above of yourself. So use your free will when you tap in, and stay with that resonates with you, and let go of everything else that doesn't resonate with you. Okay. So there are not so much more that I have to say at the moment, because I have been talking for a pretty long time right now. And if you have any question, that would be so fun to hear about them. And you can type in the chat community. So yeah, hello Sophia. It's good to see you here. And if you have any questions, please drop them in the comment field, and I will get back to you so we can talk about that. So if you want to join me and Alexandra today, please join us at 6 o'clock Central European Time on Facebook or YouTube, whichever is preferable for you. And the upcoming events that we are going to have is the first woman up for a speak is a wonderful woman that I doesn't know, but I have been tapping into her page, and she has the most beautiful energies. So that's another funny thing, because since I have never spoken to her in real life, that's going to be like a challenge, because I don't know her. That's the beauty of it, to have a conversation with someone you don't know, and to get to know their energies, and listen to what they have to say, and let her express herself and her work that she's doing. And her name is Rachel Goodwin, and she's a healer and priest, and do a lot of channeling working with Sarah, and that's Mary Magdalene's daughter. And she's a very beautiful lady, and she has a working together with other people on the page, but you can tap into her page and see the event page too. So that will be fun. Looking forward to that. And 2 weeks after that, it's Emmy Metalis term, and she's an adorable priestess. And I noticed her on the Return to Priestess last year, and she just went straight to my heart, and that was a big dream for me, and to invite her, and I was temping with myself, like, do I have the guts to invite her? And I was like, yeah, of course I should invite her. And she accepted the invitation, so she will be on here too. I'm so thrilled about that. She has such a beautiful energies too. So bless your soul for being here. And we are going to have a priestess and an astrology after that, Meher, and we have Frida. And Frida is from Sweden, and we are going to do this event even in Swedish because I'm Swedish. So the main event, the mainly events that are presenting here is going to be in English, but we are going to do some in Swedish sooner or later. So if you are feeling that you have got something good out of this session and you want to, or conversation with myself, my own conversation with myself, and you want to be here and presenting yourself within this space, so you can reach out, and I will still continue to do this. I will go searching on Facebook, and sometimes I'm just getting a feeling about certain pages, and I have on my friend list on Facebook actually a couple of women. There are mostly women and priestesses at this time that I haven't reached out to yet. So don't be afraid if you get a message from me in Messenger, because that will probably be an invitation for you to enter this space and to do a heart-to-heart conversation about your work and in this new era, and your work for a new earth. So bless you, my dear friends, and thank you for being here and being a part of my conversation with myself, and looking forward to meet you again. Bless your hearts, and bye-bye.